So, this happened. I don't even know what to say, like, damn. Thank you everybody for the support. This is a massive milestone, and even though you can't really tell it by how monotonous my voice is, I am just over the moon, so thank you everybody once again. Alright, let's get to the video. One specific spell type that I've never used once during the 1,000 or so hours of me playing Elden Ring are the Flame of Frenzy incantations. Over the past few weeks I've been tirelessly attempting to find a character that would be appropriate to use for a Frenzied Flame build. Specifically, I've been looking for a character that suffers from madness and also uses fire-based attacks. If you couldn't tell, I am all out of ideas, and if that character description isn't equivalent to scraping the bottom of a barrel, then I don't know what is. The DLC can't come any sooner. Anyway, the choice of characters was quite limited, to say the least. Ghost Rider, Firelord Ozai, or perhaps some very obscure anime character that I have literally no connection to. By the title of the video, you can probably tell what my final decision for a character was. I'll be playing as Azula at the end of her character arc in the original cartoon, and I gotta say, coming to the decision to play as her was just too obvious, but it still took me much longer than I'd like to admit. So the rules for this run were, I can only use the Flame of Frenzy incantations to deal damage, as well as the Frozen Lightning Spear, as Azula can also bend lightning. I need to beat the final boss, and I cannot use any summons. So with the quick intro out of the way, let's get to it. With Azula ready to go, I started the run and something felt off. Yeah, I can't really put my finger on what it is exactly. So my first instinct was to go get my drip, which is the altered astrologer garb. It doesn't look perfect, but it is what it is. And after that, I went on my usual journey of collecting the required items. So if you couldn't tell already, I am using a randomizer mod for the bosses, which I was planning on using for the longest time, and this playthrough was just like the perfect one for it, to kind of like further emphasize Azula's deteriorating mental health. And let's just say that as the run went on, I got so immersed into the game that I myself started to go nuts. You'll see why in a second. With an hour and a half of prep time done and dealt with, it was time for my first boss fight, which I was excited about, seeing as how this was my first time using a randomizer mod, and I was fairly optimistic about— No! 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 Wow. Thou art a— Boom! Bam! Okay, so Margit wasn't gonna go down well, so I decided to try out Renala, and there was no way that it could get worse than— maybe Radahn will be more forgiving.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the—
Here I was, matched up against the 3 of the toughest late game bosses right at the start of the game. I would need to prepare a bit more, which I did by getting most of the available flask upgrades, talismans, and acquiring a few more runes. After reaching a decent enough level, I was more than confident in attempting to fight Malenia, which went quite smoothly I might say, even if the winning attempt took me like 6 minutes. Quite a useful tip for the Flame of Frenzy spell is to direct it to the ground, so that all of the flames will hit the boss, dealing some crispy amounts of damage. With Malenia done and dealt with for the rest of the game, I went into Godric's arena and met up with Astel? Yeah, this guy clearly wasn't designed for such a cramped arena. With the first great rune at my disposal, I was able to complete Vara's questline to get to the rune farm, and started completing Hayeta's questline. Oh damn, she looks messed up. Is she okay? Oh, okay. Anyway, I went about completing the questline up until I would meet her below the capital, and decided to get the Golden Scarab Talisman. Who the hell is Gary? Is that a SpongeBob reference or something? Cause there's like these snail things in the arena that roll around everywhere. This was by far the weirdest encounter during this entire run, by the way. So I got to the rune farm, leveled up a bit, and decided to attempt the Godskins, which went smoother than I initially expected. It was still a pain in the ass though, seeing as how these two dimwits were always input reading me and staggering me out of my attack animations, but like, hey, I got them down and that's what counts. And then it was time for the second phase, and I gotta admit, I was prepared for anything. But seeing Morgoth appear was just delightful, as I'm pretty familiar with his moveset, making the second phase a breeze to walk through. After such a stressful boss fight, I'm really hoping that the next boss isn't gonna be obnoxious. So, yeah. I needed some more time to prepare for that, so I upgraded my seal to +9, defeated Starscourge Nile, which wasn't difficult in the slightest, since he kept doing the same move that could be easily punished, which I was all too happy to do. I needed to deal with this guy since I was planning on going through Ranni's questline to get the Frozen Lightning Spear, and after Nile was done and dealt with, I went into Nokron, defeated Mimic Godric, and got the Clarifying Horn Talisman. After that, I went to visit Ranni, and well, this is just not funny at this point. This is getting ridiculous. Royal Knight Radagon? Like, come on, bruv. So I started completing Ronnie's questline and went into Noxtella to get the Frozen Lightning Spear, where I had to fight what is probably the worst possible boss for this build, Moog. His fire resistance is the highest out of all of his resistances for some reason. Like, why is he resistant to fire but not to bleed? He's the Lord of Blood, not fire, but like, that's besides the point. After what felt like an eternity, he finally went down and I was able to progress further in the game. Yet another cool tip for this build, the Flame of Frenzy incantations can reset the frost buildup on enemies after they get frostbitten by the Frozen Lightning Spear, allowing you to apply Frostbite more often, which is exactly what I did against Rykard. Now, I'm not gonna lie, seeing Loretta right after Rykard was kind of underwhelming, but it is what it is. She didn't prove to be that challenging, which was quite helpful, as I really wanted to do other things, like meeting the 3 fingers below the capital, but before that, I had to beat the boss guarding the entrance to the fingers. I'm gonna say, this is kind of appropriate, all things considered. I just loved fighting Elden Beast in this arena. This poor thing just couldn't do anything in such a cramped space, which was just superb. That is, for me, obviously. Elden Beast had a really rough time. And with it out of the way with, I went over to the parkour section, which I was able to complete on the first try. I was pretty proud of that. I then inherited the Frenzied Flame and got the Frenzied Flame seal, which I would use in my offhand for a passive boost to all of my Frenzied Flame incantations. I then got these specific physic tears for my flask and decided to get the secret medallion to gain access to the consecrated snowfield, where I would be able to get my third and final offensive spell, the Unendurable Frenzy. Fire Renala? I mean, Renala, my beloved. She is indeed fire. Dealing with her was probably the easiest fight during this run, and following up on that was this. I gasped quite audibly when I saw Radahn. Doesn't mean that I was scared though. Nope. It was time for the Earth Tree to burn and for a long-awaited visit to Farm Azula. I mean, that was pretty funny. So, Malekith looked quite different this time around. I guess that's what he looks like when he doesn't wear his furry suit, I guess. So dealing with him in phase 1 was simple enough, and after him, I was challenged by Makar, a Black Blade. I mean, that almost sounds like Malekith, but I still miss the doggy. I guess I didn't have to wait for too long to meet him. With Malekith the All-Knowing out of the way with, I had to go through Red Wolf, first Elden Lord? Okay. And after that, I had to fight Godskin Noble Warrior. Alright. I always wanted to try out something with the Noble, but most if not all of the arenas you encounter these guys in don't allow for that, and specifically, I am talking about this maneuver. Feels really good to pull this off.
I like it cut, G.
Okay, so, with the Noble defeated, it was time for the final boss. Ancestor Spirit of the Golden Order. All jokes aside, that's a dope name. Can't really say the same about the boss though, he went down like a wimp. And I went into phase 2, where I had to fight Elden Dragonkin Soldier. Alright, kind of underwhelming for a final boss, not gonna lie. I was severely let down by this. I was ready to fight the true Moog or like a fire giant or something, but oh well. Oh, and after that, I decided to collect the remaining Great Runes, and here's who I had to beat. Now, you might think you're cool, but you'll never be as cool as Godfrey. I mean, period. You'll never be as cool as Godfrey. But you'll never be as cool as Godfrey transitioning into phase 1.5 and destroying all of the gravestones in Moog's arena. My jaw was on the floor when I saw this. And so, after beating any and all who would try to usurp the throne, Azula finally claimed the title of the Frenzied Fire Lord. Now, I gotta say, this was an incredibly fun run and such a breath of fresh air. I hope you've had as much fun watching this video as I've had fun making it. If you want to try out this build, here are the stats with the talismans for PvE and for PvP. Thank you everybody for watching, have a good one, peace.